I was born in a small town near the Idaho border, where winter froze every dream and summer cracked even the faintest hope. My father left when I was 8. My mother, Margaret, taught second grade in an old wooden schoolhouse where even the class bell rang a few seconds late. I had nothing you'd call a future, except for sleepy Sunday night Bible readings and her homemade pumpkin pie every Thanksgiving. I started to realize I was different when I was 13. Not because anyone bullied me, but because I saw something in the mirror no one else did. I saw the conflict. I loved my classmate, and I was terrified my mother would cry if she ever knew. I was even more afraid that the God she believed in would reject me. So I grew up quietly inside an unnamed shell, holding only one desperate wish: to become undeniable. I left home at 18, walked away from that little town, from my mother's praying eyes. I got into college on a finance scholarship. Then came internships, investment firms, startups, mergers, and acquisitions. I worked like a madman, climbed every rung not because I was obsessed with money, but because I needed a weapon. Power. Success. Freedom. I used success to bury the old question: who am I if I'm not the person who has to succeed to be accepted? I started gaining recognition in the world of venture capital. My face showed up in Forbes 30 Under 30, then again in a spotlight on LGBTQ+ game changers in economics. I smiled widely on the magazine cover. But that night, I drank alone in my living room with the TV on mute. I met Elliot at a conference in Chicago. He was an architect, handsome, intelligent, warm, and completely unfazed by who I was. That's what scared me. He didn't need me to be successful to love me. And that made me feel more exposed than any keynote speech in front of hundreds of investors ever had. But I still let him into my life. Because I was tired. Tired of proving I deserved to exist. We moved in together. The first few months felt like something out of an indie film. Morning coffee. Paintings on the wall, all of them drawn by Elliot. The potholes on the balcony grew faster than I expected. But then I started being away more. Contracts. Dinners with clients. Promises like, I'll be home early. And then one day, I came home and found Elliot sitting on the floor, not saying a word. No lights. No music. I asked him what was wrong, and he just looked at me so gently and asked, "Do you still know who I am?" I couldn't answer, because I didn't even know who I was anymore. Was I a symbol? A businessman? The son my mother once begged God not to lose? Or just an empty soul dressed in tailored suits? Every time Mom called, I picked up with a pretend busy voice. I always said things like, "I'm in a meeting," or "Can I call you back?" Then I'd forget. She never got angry. She'd just send a message after each missed call. "I love you, and I'm praying for you." I used to laugh. Pray? For what? I was living the dream, wasn't I? But some part of me knew. She wasn't praying because I was suffering. She was praying because she sensed I was drying out, and she knew there were droughts only God could see. I started having dreams. Strange ones. I saw myself falling endlessly through spreadsheets, data charts, and shredded contracts. I saw Elliot calling out to me, but his voice kept fading, like it was being pulled into a void where no one could hear anyone anymore. I'd wake up at 3 in the morning, heart racing, with no memory of why I was so afraid. I tried meditating. I tried medication. I tried therapy. But nothing could fill the hole I had dug with my ambition. I started seeing a forced smile in the mirror. Started wondering why, after reaching the highest peak, I felt like I was free falling. Elliot began to drift away. Not with fights, but with silence. I used to think silence meant peace. But it doesn't. Prolonged silence is the slow death of a relationship. One day, he just didn't come home. No message. No goodbye. Just gone. And I knew. I had lost the only person who still saw me, even after I had forgotten who I was. What was left of me? A bank account? A few industry awards? A social media following full of strangers who knew nothing about me except a resume? I started drinking more. Working less. Turning off my phone. Reopening my mother's old messages. There was one message I had never deleted. No matter where you go, God is closer than you think. And I'm still praying for the day you finally stop and listen. I read that line 3 times. Then I turned off my phone. But the words kept echoing in my mind, like a voice from far away, breaking through every pane of glass, every wall, every fortress I had built to survive without feeling. What I didn't know was that I was about to stop for real. And what I would hear wouldn't be my mother's voice. It would be the voice of eternity itself. I had prepared for every boardroom meeting, every financial crisis. But no one ever taught me how to prepare for death. And no one ever told me that death would begin with light. But not the kind of light you're thinking of. That night it rained. Not the romantic kind of rain you see in the movies, but a heavy, gray downpour as if the sky itself was collapsing. I drove aimlessly through streets so unfamiliar that even the GPS gave up on tracking me. The rain hit the windshield like the knocking of memories I had buried, locked away, layered beneath success and recognition. I had just found out Elliot had left the city. No text, no call, nothing left behind except a single note stuck to the bathroom mirror. "I'm tired, Logan. But I still love you." I read that note over and over like it was a code. Still love. And yet he left? Tired of what? Of who? I blamed the job. I blamed the world. I blamed my mother. I blamed religion. I blamed everything except the one person I should have faced myself. Because if I looked directly at the truth, I'd have to confront what I had been running from all my life. I didn't know how to love. I only knew how to hold. Hold on to success. Hold on to an image. Hold on to people just to keep them from walking out the way my father once walked out on my mother. But love means letting someone go and still wanting their happiness. I never learned that. I parked outside an old dive bar, the neon sign glowing red like blood smeared across a puddle. Inside, there was music, smoke, casual embraces, and drinks that offered temporary meaning. I don't remember how much I drank. I only remember laughing with a stranger and saying, "I once had someone who truly loved me," and I made him disappear. The stranger didn't say a word, just shook his head and walked away. And there I sat, alone, in music that had lost its melody and lights that no longer felt warm. When I got home, there was a message from my mom I hadn't read. "I know you don't believe, but I'm still praying. There's something in my heart that tells me time is running out." I stared at the screen, didn't reply, just kept reading those words, "Time is running out." She always said strange things like that, but this time the words chilled me. Not because they were strange, but because they were true. I walked into the bathroom and looked in the mirror. Who was that? Not a millionaire. Not the perfect partner. Not a brilliant investor. It was a 13-year-old boy curled up in an attic, terrified his mother would find out he had kissed someone of the same gender. It was the 18-year-old who had just left home, carrying a small backpack and a broken heart, convinced that God could never love someone like him. It was me, without the armor. I sat down on the bathroom floor, under the dim light, and for the first time in years, I prayed. Not eloquently, not properly, just a breath, a whisper. If Mom's right, if you're there, then give me a sign. Anything. Just don't stay silent. And then came silence. But it wasn't the silence of abandonment. It was the kind of silence that feels like someone is waiting. Not forcing, not preaching, just waiting. The next morning, I woke up to the sound of my phone ringing off the hook. The most important meeting of the year was in less than 2 hours. A merger that could place my company in the financial history books. I stood up, put on my gray suit, and tied my tie out of habit. But something in me had shifted. For the first time in my life, I felt that today wasn't just another day. I arrived at the office early. Everything was immaculate, flawless, exactly as I had trained my staff to ensure. But for some reason, my hand trembled as I set my coffee down on the boardroom table. I looked out through the glass. The city was waking under a soft layer of morning fog. Everything looked beautiful, orderly, in control. But inside me, my heart pounded. I heard my mother's voice. Not through a call. Not in a message. Just in my mind. "Son, if today were your last day, are you ready?" I closed my eyes. And then, everything collapsed. A sharp pain stabbed through my chest like my entire heart had been seized. My vision darkened. The coffee slipped from my hand and shattered. The sound of it all began to fade, as if being pulled into some invisible box. I heard people shouting my name, hurried footsteps, and someone screaming to call for help. But it all felt distant, like echoes from a world I had already left behind. And the strange thing was, I wasn't afraid. I just felt light. So light, I thought I might dissolve into the air. And then I opened my eyes. But I wasn't in my body anymore. I was looking down, watching myself slumped over the boardroom table. My team is in a panic. One person is performing CPR. Another is on the phone with emergency services. But I wasn't there. I was above it all, standing in a space with no form, no time, no gravity. And I knew I had died. This wasn't a dream. This wasn't a hallucination. I was really truly gone. And what I saw next would forever change everything I had once believed. I used to think death was the end. But I was wrong. Death isn't a period. It's a door. A door that opens into a realm where every lie is stripped bare. And you can't hide. Not from others. Not even from yourself. I had never seen a color like that before. It wasn't white. It wasn't black. It wasn't any shade of gray I had ever known from city lights or the midnight dark inside myself. It didn't dazzle. It didn't shimmer. But it was full, so full that I couldn't see through it, and I couldn't look away. I was there, suspended in a realm without weight, without sound, with no boundary between me and something far greater than anything I had ever known. The first thing I sensed wasn't a vision. It was a feeling, as if someone was seeing straight through me from the inside, quietly, deeply, wordlessly. No questions, no judgment, no authority looming. But I knew I was being fully seen, down to the very root of me. I was no longer a millionaire, no longer gay, no longer anyone at all. I was raw intent, and every choice I had ever made, every action, every dismissive glance, every careless word began to return. I can't tell you exactly where I was taken. There were no gates, no rainbows, no heaven like the ones in childhood paintings. Only motion, gentle like wind. But the wind carried memory. Not memory as in remembering, memory as in reliving. I saw myself at 6 years old, lying to my mother about stealing a coin from the church offering box. I saw her face. Not angry, not suspicious, just sad. And now I felt that sadness fully. I didn't just remember the moment I became it. I was her. I was me. I was the coin. I was silent after the lie. I saw myself at 15, shoving a younger classmate because he stared at me too long. I was ashamed that he had seen through me, so I used my fists to hide. And now, I felt that fist land on my face. I heard his cry. I heard the pounding of my heart, not from remorse, but from fear, fear of being seen for who I was. Each memory returned like a wave. Not violent, but unescapable. I thought I would panic, but I didn't. I couldn't run. And strangely, I didn't want to. There was something strange about that place. Everything I had ever denied, excused, or cleverly justified to deceive others appeared, without anyone accusing me. I saw it all myself, and I knew no excuse meant anything anymore. But in that same space, I also saw the things I had long forgotten I did right. The quiet moments of kindness, the genuine hugs, the hesitant apologies, the times I listened without interrupting. Even the smallest of these appeared, like faint flickers of light. And yet, none of them went out. Then I heard something, not a voice, not a sound, not even a word, but I understood. It was as if the thought itself was placed directly into my heart, bypassing language. No one is judged. They simply see themselves. I didn't see God in human form. I didn't see a throne. But I felt a presence vast, beyond every definition I'd ever known. A love without condition, but not a blind love. It was love infused with truth. A love that never forced, but also never shielded you from yourself. And I began to fall. Not a physical fall. A fall inward, deeper into the layers of self I had spent my life constructing. One by one, the shells peeled away. Reputation, logic, sexuality, pride, achievement. Everything fell. And I reached a place so deep within me there were no more labels. Only one unanswered question remained. Who am I without all of that? And I saw my mother, not with my eyes but with my heart, as if her presence had pierced through this space. I heard her voice, soft as an echo. You are still my son, even if you no longer believe in me. I wanted to cry, but there were no tears in this place. Only a bursting sensation, as if a part of me that had died long ago was finally admitting it had ever lived. Then I saw Elliot, not with anger, but with a sad smile. I felt his loneliness. Felt the weariness of loving someone who had always been emotionally distant. I realized something I had never allowed myself to admit. I had blamed him for leaving. But the truth was, I had never stayed. I used to think that after death, I'd either be burned or rewarded. But the truth goes deeper than that. I wasn't judged. I was placed in front of myself and asked to choose, keep pretending, or dare to look honestly. I don't know where I'm going yet. I only know this. I'm no longer Logan the millionaire. I'm Logan, the man facing the truth for the very first time. And this was only the beginning. Because next, I was about to enter a place where no one screamed, no one cried out, but every soul was trapped forever. Not because they were locked in, but they could no longer hear each other. And that is the true shape of hell. I don't remember the exact moment I entered that place. There was no door, no gate, No thunder or fire like the ones you see in religious books or movies. It came gradually like a dense fog clinging to my soul, pulling me downward, sliding me through a layer of light just warm enough to endure, until I sank fully into a space without sound. Not the silence of peace, the silence of eternal disconnection. I wasn't standing anymore. I wasn't floating. I had no form. I existed, but I didn't exist. And around me were others, or more precisely souls. No one spoke. No one looked. No one touched. Yet every single one of them seemed to be screaming inwardly, cries that never broke through the thick shell of stillness wrapped around them. That's when I understood. This wasn't punishment. It was a reflection. No one here was being sentenced. They were simply living out exactly what they had chosen in life. Isolation, disconnection, refusal to forgive, replaying emotions they never dared to face. No one looked at one another, not because they couldn't, but because they wouldn't. Shame, anger, hurt. They had all become invisible chains, binding them to themselves. And then I saw myself. Not a physical version, but another Logan was bare, proud, guarded. His eyes are cold. His smile curled in that same mocking, self-defensive way I had once used on others. I had looked at people with that expression. Now, I was the one being looked at, and I saw how the contempt I had sown had taken root in my soul. I heard my own words echoing. As long as I succeed, no one has the right to judge me. Love is weakness. I'm free. I don't need my mother's God. Forgiveness is for the weak. And those words kept repeating, not just in me, but in the minds of hundreds of souls around me. Each is trapped in their loop. Some reliving resentment. Others are stuck in endless self-interrogation. And some whispering just one sentence, over and over, for what felt like an entire afterlife. I'm not enough, I'm not enough, I'm not enough. I wanted to scream, stop it. No one is forcing you to suffer like this. But no sound came out. And then I understood. No one was forcing them. They chose to stay. Not because they enjoyed the pain, but because they no longer believed they deserved to be saved. I saw a soul that reminded me of Elliot. It wasn't him, but it had that same gentleness. The soul sat curled up, arms wrapped around its head, as if waiting for someone to come close and whisper, I still love you. But no one came. And I couldn't go to them. I had no legs. I was only merciful now. But mercy means nothing if the one receiving it doesn't believe they're worthy of it. And then I heard something deeper than any sound I'd ever known. It wasn't my mother's voice. It wasn't a sermon. It was the shattering silence within me. And from it came a question, echoing in my soul. Logan, if you could go back, would you do it differently? I didn't need time to think. I had no room left for cleverness. The answer rose from a part of me I had never heard speak before. Yes. And the light returned. Not loud. Not explosive. Just a single thread thin as hair, piercing through the dark mist. But it came. And I knew someone was listening. Not because I was worthy, but because I was finally willing to be honest. I didn't beg for heaven. I didn't demand my life back. I simply said, if there's anyone who needs me so they don't fall into this place, please let me return. Just once. And I heard my mother's voice. Close. Real. My son is still here. I broke. Not into tears, but into softness. My soul, long hardened, cracked open like an old wooden door that had finally surrendered after years of being sealed shut. The light rose. And I was taken. Not by force. Not under condition. But simply because I no longer wanted to stay in a world where no one could hear one another. I thought the journey ended there. But I was wrong. Coming back doesn't mean going back to what you were. Because after dying and living again, you are no longer the same. And the world will never look at you the same way again. That's when the real journey begins. I didn't know if I was rising, floating, or drifting in some other direction. There was no sense of up or down. No time. No gravity. No map. Only one thing was certain. I was leaving that place. The place where no one could hear anyone else. Where every soul was trapped in the echo of its pain. Where no one needed to be punished, because torment itself had become the prison. But now, I was being drawn out. Not by hand. Not by force. But by love. Not a love I had ever known. Not the kind of love I had with Elliot, beautiful but fragile. Not the kind of love the world offers, laced with conditions and expectations. This love didn't ask why. It didn't demand how much. It didn't wait for me to become worthy. It simply was. As if it had always been there. And I was only now learning how to endure it. I saw the light again. But this time it wasn't radiant. It wasn't religious or majestic. It was soft, familiar, like the warm yellow glow of a hallway lamp. My mother used to leave it on when I came home late. That light had a scent, the scent of her laundry detergent, the peppermint tea she always brewed. A smell I thought I had forgotten, but it had never really left me. I saw a sense of my mother. Not her face, not her body, just her presence. Like her entire soul reached out to touch mine, from far away, yet impossibly near. Then I heard a whisper. It didn't come from anyone, yet it couldn't have come from anywhere else. You don't belong to the dark, Logan. You have always been loved. Even when you didn't believe it. I didn't cry out, Mom. I didn't collapse like a child. I didn't kneel or reach upward. I just let go. Let go of pride. Let go of fear. Let go of doubt. Let go of the arguments I had built to protect my broken places. There was nothing left to cling to. And for the first time, I realized letting go wasn't failure. It was freedom. Then I began to see the small things, the ones that had once saved me, though I never recognized them at the time. I saw myself at 7, burning with fever, delirious in my mother's arms. I heard her whisper, Lord, I give you this child. Whatever he becomes, he is still my son. I saw her kneeling at the foot of her bed, hands resting on the pillow, praying night after night when she thought I was asleep, speaking soft words I had never heard before. But now, I heard them all. Not a single word was lost. Not one tear went unheard. Everything had been kept gathered, carried, and now it became the spiritual rope pulling me out of the abyss. Do you believe a single prayer can reach through death itself? I don't just believe it. I am the proof. No one preached to me. No one lectured me about sin or faith. No one asked my gender, what I'd done, who I had loved, or who I had left behind. There were no checklists. Just one invisible question. Do you want to live in truth? And I knew if I answered no, I'd be returned to that fog-covered realm where every soul wore a mask, until the mask consumed who they truly were. But I didn't want to wear a mask anymore. I answered in silence. I want to live true, even if it costs me everything. And then I fell. But this time not downward. I fell into my body. I fell into life. I fell back into what we call reality. But this time, everything was different. I opened my eyes. White lights. Machines. A soft heartbeat rhythm. Someone said, he's awake. Someone else cried. But I couldn't make out the words. The only thing I could hear clearly was the silence within me. Not emptiness. Peace. I came back to this world. But I didn't return with a crown. Not with glory. Not to tell you, I saw heaven or hell. I returned with one thing, truth. And truth doesn't need to shout. It only needs to be recognized. No defense. No excuse. No running. It's just there like light, waiting for someone to open their eyes. You think dying and coming back is a miracle? The real miracle is living again in a world that no longer recognizes you. It's facing your old life with a heart that can no longer live the old way. And I'm about to tell you just how hard that truly is. Waking up after death isn't like in the movies. There's no soft light flooding your eyes, no gentle music playing, no loved ones beaming beside your bed. Just the sharp smell of antiseptic, the cold glare of fluorescent lights, and the steady beep of a heart monitor ticking like a question repeating itself over and over. You're alive. Now what? I lay there for 3 days. No one gave me an answer. The doctors said I had flatlined for nearly 4 minutes. No brain damage. No lingering effects. A medical miracle. People marveled. They called me lucky. But no one knew I didn't feel like I had come back. I felt like I had just been given my first chance to live. When I was able to walk again, I didn't go to the office. I didn't check my emails. I didn't return the endless calls. I went home and opened every old message my mother had ever sent me. I read them like scripture. Every word. Every period. Every line she wrote in loneliness that I had once marked read, but never truly seen. I texted her, I'm sorry. You were right. You've always been right. She called immediately. No scolding. No lecturas. Just silence. Then tears. And for the first time in years, I let myself hear her cry, without running from it. Then I left San Francisco. Sold the high-rise condo. Deleted all my social media. I moved to a small town in Oregon, not far from my mother's home. No one there knew who I was. No titles. No logos. No more Logan Reigns, LGBTQ+ success icon. Just Logan, a man relearning how to live. I rented an old wooden cabin near a lake. Every morning, I made tea, opened the windows, and listened to the wind rustle through the trees. I began reading again. Not financial reports, but the Bible. For the first time, not to argue but to understand. I didn't become religious. I just opened my heart, and that was enough to change everything. One day, I stumbled across a young man sitting alone by the lake. Skinny, red eyes, holding an empty bottle of liquor. There was something familiar about him. Not his face, but the fracture in his gaze. I sat beside him. Didn't ask his name. I just said, "What are you running from?" He stared at me shocked, as if he'd just been found. Then he broke down, weeping like a child who'd been left behind. I didn't console him, didn't preach. I just sat there, and then I told him my story. No additions, no edits, no decoration. He listened like he was swallowing every word. And when I got to the part where I said, "I saw a place where every soul was screaming in silence," he began to tremble. Then he whispered, "That's where I go every night." We sat together until sunrise. When the first light broke over the trees, he reached into his jacket pocket and handed me a small knife he had hidden. Then he said, "I don't need this anymore." That day, I knew this was why I came back. To save someone like him. And then another. And eventually a whole community. Not with sermons, but with the truth of a story. I began to write. Not to get famous, but to let others know you're not alone. I wrote for those who once believed they were strong enough not to need anyone, to help them understand that weakness is not a sin. Denying your soul is. Letters began arriving from everywhere. Not just from LGBTQ+ people, but from mothers, fathers, friends, people who had once hurt someone because they didn't understand. They apologized. They shared. They cried. And I realized a true story doesn't have to be perfect. It just needs to be told with a heart that's been broken and dares to heal. Elliot never came back. I didn't expect him to. I only sent one email. "Thank you. Because you left. I finally learned how to stay." No reply. But I know he read it. And that was enough. Today, I don't try to teach anyone how to live. I only ask one question. If today were your last day, would you be living in the truest part of your heart? If the answer is no, then good news, you still have time. I am Logan Rains. No longer a millionaire. No longer a symbol. Just a soul who was once lost, pulled out of the dark by a mother's prayer. I thought I'd come back to life again. But the truth is, I came back to tell you. Because there's one thing I saw in that journey, something no one talks about, yet every soul needs to hear. And that is what will determine everything. When I was still on the other side, just before I was brought back, there was one final moment. A stillness so deep that everything inside me stopped. No memories. No questions. No pain. I thought it was the end. But it wasn't. It was the center point of truth. The place where I saw the deepest thing humanity keeps trying to deny. We don't die because of sin. We die slowly from separation. Separation from ourselves. Separation from those who truly love us. Separation from the one who created us, whom we've mistaken for a distant stranger. I saw every soul around me aching to be heard, aching to be seen, aching to be forgiven, but too afraid to believe they were worthy. And that very doubt was the thickest wall between them and the light. Not a hell of a fire, but a hell of a doubt. It doesn't need flames. It only needs you to stop believing in real love. I used to think that once we die, we'll know everything. But no, death doesn't make you know. It only strips away what you've refused to face. And the clearest, most heartbreaking, yet strangely simple truth is this. No one can save you if you don't want to be saved. The being of light, whether you call him God, Source, the universe, or nothing at all, doesn't force you. He doesn't drag you out of the darkness. He simply waits, gently, like a mother sitting outside her child's bedroom door, waiting for them to open their heart from the inside. I asked myself, then what's the one thing that truly saves a soul? The answer didn't come in words. It came with a breaking feeling inside me. And in that breaking, I understood. The only thing that saves us is the courage to love and to let ourselves be loved fully, unconditionally. Not the kind of love that just makes us feel better, but the kind that transforms us. The kind of love that stays when we are at our ugliest. The kind of love that waits when we've wandered too far. The kind of love my mother had. The kind I once mocked, then lost, and finally was rescued from the depths. When I returned to this world, I didn't tell this story for fame. I tell it because I know someone reading these words right now is standing at the edge of that same abyss. They laugh on the outside, but inside are screams no one can hear. They believe no one understands. They fear that if they speak the truth, they'll be judged. But I'm writing this to tell you something death taught me. No one is too far gone to come back. No soul is a mistake in the system. No one was born to be abandoned. You don't need to be perfect. You just need to be honest. Admit that you're tired. Admit that you've been pretending. Admit that you're scared no one will truly love you if you ever show them who you are. I've been there. I understand. And I'm telling you the truth won't kill you. It will set you free. Don't wait until your heart stops. Don't wait until you fall into that place where every cry is swallowed by the fog. Start coming back to life now. Call your mother. Hug your ex and say, "I'm sorry." Pray even if you don't know who you're talking to. Forgive yourself. And if you're thinking about ending it all, wait one more day. Just one more. Because maybe, just maybe, the light is waiting for you right on the other side of today's despair. I used to be Logan Reigns, the millionaire. Now I'm just Logan, the man who was pulled from the depths by a love with no conditions. And if you're hearing me right now, then please believe this. You have not been abandoned. You're being called home. Death is not the end. It's a mirror, a reflection of all the truth you've been trying to outrun. And if, like me, you've been given the grace to live again, don't repeat your old life. Love like you've only got one day. Live like you just came back from the dead. Because maybe, you just did.